Good evening. You're watching the news at 6 with me, Shan Russell. The news at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories, and we'll be filling in on them over the next half hour. But first, the headlines that we're tracking right now. 2 civilians killed and over 45 injured in firing in Shopia and Anantnag districts. Curfew lifted in Kashmir even as restrictions remain in force on the assembly of people. Former RJD leader Mohammad Shahabuddin, released on bail from Bhagalpur jail after 11 years, calls Lalu Yadav his leader forever, terms Nitish Kumar as a leader of circumstances. The United Nations Security Council draws up fresh sanctions against North Korea. US says defiance on 5th nuclear test will be met with appropriate response. And the US and Russia come to a ceasefire agreement to end violence in Syria. Both nations also agree to coordinate military operations against terrorist groups in Syria. Our top story this evening: 2 people were killed and many injured in fresh clashes with security forces today in the Kashmir Valley that remained shut for the 64th day in a row. With this, the death toll now rose to 77 in the ongoing unrest that has rocked the valley since the 8th of July. Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti expressed grief over the deaths.
Two men died in separate parts of Kashmir on Saturday as protesters clashed with security forces, taking the death toll to 77. In Shopia district, a young man was killed after he was reportedly hit on head by a tear gas shell in clashes with security forces. The incident took place when the police and paramilitary soldiers tried to stop protesters from marching to a village in the district. In another incident, a 25-year-old man died from pellet injuries in Anantnag district after clashes between police and protesters.
Slightly upset because as soon as I was leaving for this place, my secretary told me कि भाई शुपियन में फिर एक लड़का जो है पत्थरबाजी में मारा गया, so I slightly feel very upset about it.
Clashes were also reported from the Old City area and Budgam district, where at least a dozen people were injured. Despite all the violence, curfew was lifted from entire Kashmir. However, authorities on Friday imposed curfew in many parts of the valley to maintain law and order after congregational prayers. Normal life remained paralyzed for the 64th day in a row due to the separatist-sponsored strike. Schools, colleges and other educational institutes remained closed. Over 12,000 civilians and security personnel were injured in the unrest that started a day after Wani's killing. The valley is observing a separatist called shutdown for over 2 months. The separatists extended it till September 16th. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Former RJD MP Mohammad Shahabuddin walked out of jail today after being granted bail by the Patna High Court on Wednesday. Soon after his release, the gangster-turned-politician hit up Nitish Kumar, calling him a chief minister of circumstance.
Former RJD MP Mohammad Shahabuddin walked out of the Bhagalpur Central Jail on Saturday to a hero's welcome after spending 11 years behind bars. Hundreds of his supporters gathered outside the divisional jail, chanting slogans in his support. Many RJD leaders were also present to greet Shahabuddin. As he left the prison, the former RJD leader pledged allegiance to his party chief Lalu Yadav and took a swipe at Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar.
हमारा तो पूरा स्टेट जानता है और हमको लगता है जो मुझे देश में जानते हैं हम किसके साथ हैं, किसके साथ रहेंगे और किसके साथ रहे हैं, उसमें तो कोई कंट्रोवर्सी है ही नहीं।
नीतीश कुमार के बारे में क्या ख्याल है?
नहीं, परिस्थितियों के मुख्यमंत्री।
Nitish Kumar, however, downplayed Shahabuddin's remark.
चलिए, ये सब भी कोई प्रतिक्रिया की चीज है।
The opposition BJP, however, questioned the sudden release of the gangster-turned politician.
मतलब नायक के रूप में जिस तरह से प्रदर्शन इनका हो रहा है, तो गुंडे, बदमाश, माफियाओं में क्या संदेश जा रहा है? संदेश यही जा रहा है कि हमारी सरकार है।
The Patna High Court granted bail to Shahabuddin on Wednesday in the much-publicized Rajiv Roshan murder case. Celebrations broke out at his home in Siwan soon after.
तो बहुत है, अनगिनत है, उसको क्या मैं गिनवाऊं, और खुशी इतनी है, आप देख ही रहे हैं माहौल कैसा है, शहर का ही माहौल बदल गया 7 तारीख के बाद से।
The four-time RJD MP Mohammad Shahabuddin was in jail since November 2005 after he was arrested from his residence in New Delhi by a joint team of Siwan police and the Delhi police. Many pending cases against him were reopened after Nitish Kumar came to power in 2005. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now moving on, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi attacked Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the BJP and the RSS, stating that the country cannot be run on fear and anger. Rahul was speaking to people during a roadshow on the 5th day of the Congress's Kisan Mahayatra in Jaunpur district of Uttar Pradesh. He also visited a madarsa in the district. Rahul claimed that he worked to unite everyone, even as he alleged that Prime Minister Modi was working to incite people and make them fight against each other. Rahul also visited Ambedkar Nagar on Thursday, where he held a roadshow and a Khat Sabha. He said the Mahayatra that started on Tuesday is a campaign to secure the rights of the poor, farmers and labourers in government resources. He will cover as many as 233 assembly constituencies to reach out to the people ahead of the crucial polls slated next year.
थोड़ा सा पैसा हिंदुस्तान के किसान की जेब में भी चला जाए। हिंदुस्तान का किसान, हिंदुस्तान का मजदूर त्रस्त, नरेंद्र मोदी मस्त।
And let's go across to our correspondent Vishal there for more on the story. Vishal, Rahul Gandhi continuing his attack on the Prime Minister, the Sood-Bur Sarkar jibe that he had made in Parliament, continuing in the same vein, but he's also attacking the RSS. Despite that defamation suit, Rahul Gandhi going out on the offensive against the entire Parivar, so to say.
Well, yes, Ishan, it seems offense is the kind of best defense for the Congress party as of now. Clearly, if you look at the political situation in the state of Uttar Pradesh, the Congress doesn't have much to lose. It has not been doing well in, subsequent elections in the state. And it is almost 24 MLAs in a state which has 400 seats. It has been out of the power out here for more than 20 years, almost to be exact, 27 years, at least 3 decades. And that is quite a long time in the politics to be out of power. So clearly the focus out here from the Congress's leadership is to gain a foothold in the state, to move from also ran a category to a very significant place in the state politics. And let's not forget that Uttar Pradesh is also the biggest state in the country, and so obviously the election results from this particular state will have a lot of bearing on the prospects of several parties at the national level as well. And given the state, specifically the electoral state in which the Congress party is right now, a bit of a push and boost would do them a lot of good. That's why we see the Congress Vice President and several other leaders, specifically in this particular yatra, the Congress VP, launching an all-out attack against the BJP, against the Prime Minister, and against the RSS as well.
Right,
a clear
Vishal,
indication that the party and its leadership is not going to let down its offensive strategy in the months to come as well.
All right, but what about the people's response, or what about participation in this Mahayatra? Do we see hordes and hordes come out, or are we witnessing empty chairs?
Well, the people's participation has been quite satisfactory as far as the Congress's point of view is concerned, given the fact that the segments through which he has travelled in the first 5 days of his yatra, most of those assembly segments have not had a Congress representative for quite a few years now. And the Congress's, organization at the ground level is also not in a very robust state in these places. So given all those factors, the kind of people, the kind of numbers of people who are coming out and listening to Rahul Gandhi is something which is sort of a boost for the Congress VP as well as the party cadre in the state. But we'll have to watch. It's going to be a 2-day break from here onwards. That's Monday and Tuesday. This yatra will see a break on account of Eid festivities, and then from Wednesday onwards the yatra will again resume. It has just been 5 days. We'll see at least another 2 weeks of yatra, and then it's going to culminate in a Maha Kisan rally on 2nd of October in the national capital. So let's see as to whether or not this momentum which has started with this particular yatra, whether or not the Congress and specifically Rahul Gandhi will be able to sustain this momentum in the days to come.
All right, Vishal, there we'll leave it over there. Vishal will keep a track of this story for us. Thanks so much for joining us for now. Well, news now from the Students' Union elections at Delhi University, and the BJP student wing bagged 3 of the 4 seats in the University Students' Union elections, conceding 1 seat to the National Students' Union of India of the Congress. ABVP's Amit Tawar, Priyanka Chhabri and Ankit Sangwan were elected DUSU President, Vice President and Secretary respectively, while NSUI's Mohit Sangwan won the post of Joint Secretary. The university introduced none of the above nota in the student polls this year, and a significant number, more than 17,000 voters, exercised that option. In 2014 and 15, the ABVP swept the DUSU polls, winning all the 4 top positions. The Aam Aadmi Party's Chhatra Yuva Sangharsh Samiti, that was defeated last year on its debut, did not contest the polls this year.
कहीं ना कहीं अगर हम एक सीट लूज की बात करते हैं तो जो हमारी इस बार दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय में जो पोलिंग कम हुई है उसका एक कारण बन सकता है कि सेकंड और थर्ड डे के स्टूडेंट्स ने बिल्कुल पोल नहीं किया है, और फर्स्ट डे के जो पोलिंग है उसके आधार पे रिजल्ट आया है, लेकिन फिर भी हम 3 सीट जीते हैं, ये बहुत अच्छी हमारी जीत है।
3 सीट हम लोग जीत के आए हैं, 4 में से 1 सीट भी हमारी इसलिए रह गई क्योंकि कॉलेजेस के अंदर इलेक्शन हुआ, वोटिंग परसेंटेज कम था, इसलिए स्टूडेंट्स उतना वोट देने नहीं आए, मगर जो देने आए वो प्योर एबीवीपी सपोर्टर्स थे, प्योर एबीवीपी सिंपैथाइजर्स।
जो भी हमने वादे करे थे हम सारे पूरे करेंगे, और मैं बताना चाहता हूँ जैसे भी हमसे थोड़ी बहुत ऊँच चूक हो गई हमारी गलती के लिए माफी मांगते हैं, लेकिन जो भी हमने वादे करे हैं जिसके लिए भी नॉर्थ ईस्ट के लिए भी जो भी हॉस्टल नहीं, ऐसा नहीं कह सकते कि पूरा भरोसा नहीं जता पाए। भरोसा जताने के बाद भी इतना कम मार्जिन से हारे हैं, लेकिन जो हम सीट जीते हैं उसमें सबसे ज़्यादा मार्जिन है।
Some more national news stories now nationwide. A fighter aircraft of the Indian Air Force crashed in the Barmer district of Rajasthan on Saturday. Both the pilot and the co-pilot managed to eject safely. The plane crashed in an open field about 20 kilometers from the city. No damage has been reported to civil property. The Air Force has launched a court of inquiry into the crash. The 3-day monsoon session of the Andhra Pradesh Assembly ended abruptly on Saturday after opposition uproar over the issue of denial of special category status to the state. The opposition YSR Congress members tried to uproot mics and damage cameras. Speaker K.S. Rao then adjourned the House sine die. Meanwhile, a delegation of senior BJP leaders from Andhra Pradesh met Prime Minister Modi. During the interaction, the Prime Minister said there are ample opportunities for development in Andhra Pradesh and they must work for the development of the state. Senior Trinamool Congress leader Madan Mitra, who is in jail in connection with the Sharda scam case, has been released from prison. Mitra was released from Alipur jail at around 6:45 a.m. this morning. The court granted him bail after over 21 months on certain conditions set by it. Mitra, who was arrested on the 12th of December 2014, was granted bail by a lower court last year. Time for us to take a short break. Lots more on the other side. Do stay tuned.
Hello and welcome. I'm Amritan Shira and you're watching Law of the Land.
The industries are waiting for much wider sweeping changes.
Even 8 hours working is detrimental to the health and existence of a worker.
But particularly the large sectors, they are the beneficiary.
A show that gives you an in-depth insight of legislations and laws pronounced by the Supreme Court. Watch Law of the Land on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Some international news now. And the United States and Russia have arrived at a ceasefire deal for Syria after a marathon talk session held in Geneva. The cessation of hostilities will come into effect after sunset on Monday. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said that the plans will bear fruit if the Syrian regime and the opposition meet their obligations.
Today, the United States and Russia are announcing a plan which we hope will reduce violence, ease suffering, and resume movement towards a negotiated peace and a political transition in Syria.
The US and Russia announcing an agreement on Syria starting with cessation of hostilities. The agreement will be in effect from sunset on Monday. The announcement coming after talks between US Secretary of State John Kerry and his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov in Geneva.
And today, Sergei Lavrov and I, on behalf of our presidents and our countries, call on every Syrian stakeholder to support the plan that the United States and Russia have reached, to back its implementation in good faith, and to continue the hard work of bringing this catastrophic conflict to the quickest possible end through a political process.
Part of the peace plan includes Syrian government ending combat missions in specified areas held by the opposition.
Halting all of the regime's military air activities in key areas that are defined. Not all flights, because there's still Nusra and ISIS, but that will be managed in a different way also. And that should put an end to the barrel bombs, an end to the indiscriminate bombing of the civilian neighborhoods, and it has the potential to change the nature of the conflict.
Хочу подчеркнуть, что задача разграничения террористов и умеренных оппозиционеров и задача отделения, физического отделения на земле оппозиционеров от террористов закреплена в одобренном нами сегодня документе в качестве.
Russia and the US will also establish a joint center to combat so-called Islamic State and al-Nusra fighters.
Then US and Russian experts will work together to defeat Daesh and Nusra. I want to emphasize, these measures can only be implemented effectively if all the parties live up to their obligations.
The United Nations hopes and believes that the political will that led to this understanding is sustained. It creates a real window of opportunity.
Kerry has said that the opposition in Syria has indicated it is prepared to comply with the plan, but that they have to meet their obligations.
Now, of course, the opposition will also be expected to adhere to the cessation of hostilities. And that is why today the United States and Russia together are calling on all sides to recommit to a nationwide cessation of hostilities and to honor its previous terms. This will be effective at sundown on September 12th.
While the ceasefire is to cover all of Syria, both US and Russia emphasize the initial importance of allowing humanitarian convoys to reach Aleppo, where hundreds of thousands are without food, water, and electricity. The Syrian army on Friday secured a road into the government-held side of Aleppo that was captured by rebels last month and was expected to open it soon for civilians. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, the United Nations Security Council is drawing up fresh sanctions against North Korea following its fifth and biggest nuclear test to date on Friday. The decision was taken at an urgent meeting of the 15-member council. The United States has also said that North Korea's defiance will be met with an appropriate response. World leaders have condemned the move, calling it self-destructive.
This launch,
The United Nations Security Council has agreed to begin drawing up new sanctions against North Korea after the reclusive East Asian nation conducted its fifth and reportedly biggest nuclear test.
This launch, which I would note took place while China was hosting the G20 summit, once again shows the DPRK's blatant disregard for its international obligations and its willingness to provoke and to threaten the international community with impunity. The Security Council must remain unequivocal and united in condemnation of these tests, and we must take action to enforce the words we put on paper, to enforce our resolutions.
For me, for myself and for my country, condemn the fact that it was a launch that is of great concern to the national security of Japan, but not just for Japan, but for the region and beyond.
The fact that the North Korean regime is using the considerable amount of their national resources to the development of weapons of mass destruction will sacrifice the living condition and the basic need and humanitarian situation of North Korean people.
The decision was taken at an urgent meeting of the 15-member Council on Friday after United Nations Secretary General called on the UN Security Council to take appropriate action against North Korea.
The underground nuclear test by the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. This is yet another brazen breach of the resolutions of the Security Council. For the fifth time in recent years, the DPRK alone has broken the international against a nuclear test. And this unacceptable act endangers peace and security in the region.
In a continued show of defiance to UN sanctions and the international community at large, North Korea conducted its fifth nuclear test on its 68th founding day on Friday. The test set off a blast that was more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima.
5.04란 규모는 4차는 4.8 정도 됩니다. 그래서 그 강도를 보면 약 2배 크기 에너지 4차보다 그 정도 에너지를 크기를 갖고 있습니다. 그렇게 보면 그 히로시마 원폭보다는 약간 규모가 적은.
World leaders were quick to condemn the latest test. South Korean president said the North Korean leader was showing maniacal recklessness. India deplored the test and asked DPRK to refrain from such actions that adversely impact peace and stability in the region and beyond. US President Barack Obama warned the test would be met with serious consequences. North Korea's main ally China too was quick to condemn the test.
South Korea particularly are deeply concerned because of the neighborhood, but I think it's fair to say that China, Russia, the United States, everybody shares concern.
We're very much concerned, and the resolutions of the Security Council must be implemented, and we will send this message very strongly.
북한이 또다시 자행한 핵실험에 대해 절대 용납하지 않을 것이며 이미 경고한 대로 북한이 핵을 포기하도록 가용한 모든 조치를 취할 것입니다.
朝方不顾国际社会普遍反对进行第5次核试验，中国外交部已就此发表声明，表明了中国政府坚决反对的立场。
North Korea says the test proves it is capable of mounting a nuclear warhead on a medium-range ballistic missile. However, its claims of being able to miniaturize a nuclear warhead have never been independently verified. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Some international news now in Global Buzz. At least 21 people were killed and 50 others sustained burn injuries today in a massive fire triggered by a boiler explosion at a packing factory in Bangladesh's industrial area. The fire broke out due to the boiler explosion at the 4-story tobacco packing factory. 10 of the injured are struggling for life with critical burn wounds. 20 units of firefighters were trying to douse the fire. New Zealanders hit the streets around the country on Saturday to protest against the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, calling it their day of action. The Trans-Pacific Partnership is a deal between 12 Pacific countries, including the United States, that will cover 40% of the world economy, taking 5 years of negotiations to reach signing stage. As many as 12 people were killed and 40 injured on Friday when 2 suicide bombers claimed by Islamic State attacked a shopping mall in eastern Baghdad. The attack took place at a mall opposite the oil ministry. One bomb went off at the entrance of the mall and the other in the parking lot. The Syrian army on Friday secured a road into the government-held side of Aleppo that was captured by rebels last month. The advance by the Syrian army and allied militia has reopened the main route into the government-held west. Rebels on Friday attacked the Salah al-Din neighborhood, which is Aleppo's front line on Friday, killing at least 8 people. Now, some good news from the sporting world, because from Prime Minister Narendra Modi to India's only individual Olympic gold medalist Abhinav Bindra, congratulatory messages poured in from all corners for Rio Paralympic Games' T42 high jump gold medalist Mariappan Thangavelu and bronze winner Varun Bhati. President Pranab Mukherjee also congratulated the duo on the medals. Under the Sports Ministry's cash award scheme, Mariappan will get 75 lakh rupees and party will be presented 30 lakh rupees for their achievement. The prize money is at par with medal winners from last month's Olympic Games as far as the ministry is concerned. Thangavelu won the gold with his best jump of 1.89 meters, while Bhati's best effort of 1.86 fetched him the bronze. The silver medal in this event went to USA's Sam Grew, who also registered the mark of 1.186 meters.
There have to be parallel achievements, and he must deserve for whatever the, the government has, the central government and the state government also, Tamil Nadu has declared, whoever get the Olympic medal get 2 crore of cash award, and he deserve for the 2 crore cash award.
गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने इसको रिकॉग्नाइज किया, पैरा स्पोर्ट्स के बारे में अवेयरनेस से बढ़ी। उसके बाद में हमारे नेशनल टूर्नामेंट्स होते हैं, नेशनल चैंपियनशिप होती है, तो आप देखिए वहाँ प्लेयर्स आते हैं। और पहले ये क्या कि एक वेलफेयर एक्टिविटी थी, अब ये एक कॉम्पिटिटिव एक्टिविटी है।
सबक ज़रूर मिनिस्ट्री को मिल गया है कि सुविधाएं कुछ भी ना होने के बावजूद आज पैरा ने वो कर दिखाया है जो शायद ही मतलब जो हमारे इमेजिन से बाहर था।
मुझे लगता है अभिनव बिंद्रा के बाद आज दूसरा ये दिन आया कि हमने नेशनल एंथम रियो में हमने सुना, तो इससे गर्व की बात हो नहीं सकती। और उस खिलाड़ी के लिए सोचिए जिसने देश का नाम इतना ऊंचा किया है, मुझे लगता है उस खिलाड़ी को पूरा मान सम्मान मिलना चाहिए आने के बाद जो हमारे ओलंपिक खिलाड़ियों को मिलता है, और किसी भी तरीके की कोई भी कमी या भेदभाव नहीं उनके साथ होना चाहिए।
News now from the US Open, where Novak Djokovic won his semi-final match and went through to the finals of the tournament and continues his reign as world #1. Defending champion Djokovic defeated Gay Monfils to reach the 7th US Open final of his career. He beat Monfils 6-3, 6-2, 3-6, 6-2. The world #1 will face Stan Wawrinka in Sunday's final, where he will make a bid to win a third major title of 2016 and 13th of his career. In the second semi-final between Stan Wawrinka and Kei Nishikori, down a set and a break, the third seed Wawrinka took control to oust Nishikori 4-6, 7-5, 6-4, 6-2. He'll seek his third major championship on Sunday against top-ranked Djokovic, who he defeated at Roland Garros in 2015. Meanwhile, the women's final will be played out later today between new world #1 Germany's Angelique Kerber and Czech Karolina Sluskova. That's all in this bulletin, but as we go, we'll leave you with pictures that are quite out of this world from Mars, because they've been sent by NASA's Curiosity Mars rover. The images were taken by Curiosity's mast camera, and they show in detail rocky terrain and isolated hill formations on the surface of Mars. Thanks so much for watching.